Shadwell is rich in history. It was first registered as a name in, I think it was 1222, and it came from the Old English for shallow stream. The well followed when they built the basin here. And then it became Shadwell. Here we are in the beautiful, quiet and peaceful St Paul's Church gardens. Now, if you'd have been here with me, say 350 odd years ago, during the Great Plague, when they were going to the houses shouting, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead," and those dead were brought here to St Paul's, and they were buried beneath just where I'm sitting now. Among the sea captains who regularly worshipped here was perhaps arguably the most famous of his generation, Captain James Cook, the explorer who discovered Australia. He worshipped here regularly, and his eldest son was baptised here, as was the mother of the future President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. So St Paul's has had a big say in history. My three brothers and I were all choristers here in the immediate post-war years, and this was the foundation of our life, really. This particular building was built in 1822. Of the 75 sea captains who were buried here in St Paul's, about 20 of them were in the crypt.
I moved there in 1980-81. My mum used to take me down to Shadwell. We'd go to a shop called Cater's. He had Watney Street Market, so that was one of the street markets of the area people would go to. At that time, I think Shadwell was the poorest ward, or certainly one of the poorest wards in London. It was a proper rundown area. There was a pie and mash shop, there was a chip shop, and the pie and mash shop obviously closed at 2:30, and even the chip shop closed at 7. There was a lovely little pub called the Old House at Home. Sailors used to drink in there. A bloke called Paul used to run that. When people toppled off the bar drunk, he used a soda siphon just to spray their face to wake them up. Everyone would be laughing. The tube station was the East London line, when the East London line only went up to Shoreditch in rush hours, went down to New Cross and New Cross Gate. And Shadwell used to close at like 9 o'clock at night, and it'd be closed at weekends. There was no bus went there, you know, it was unbelievable.
I've spent 14 years as a scriptwriter of This Is Your Life, and I've written 110 books, 20 books with Jimmy Greaves, 4 books with Frank Bruno, 4 books with Henry Cooper. They know that I know their careers better than they do. Well, this is where my life's journey started. a little matter of 79 years ago, here at number 4 Ring House. I was born just a week before Winston Churchill took over as Prime Minister from Neville Chamberlain. Now, the highway and Cable Street, they are the main arteries of Shadwell, made famous or infamous by the Oswald Mosley March of the black-shirted fascists in 1936. And I'm proud to say that my father was among those who managed to get a few punches in before the police broke it up. I get very emotional when I come to this part of Cable Street because in 1952, a granny from Ring House was taking her little 5-year-old granddaughter to get an ice cream, and a lorry that had been stolen from the docks didn't have its wooden cargo tethered properly. And as it came round the bend into Cable Street, it shed its load onto the poor grandmother and child, and they were both killed. From then on, they decided to make Cable Street one-way rather than the two-way traffic.
Dock area, London docks. Primarily, they had a lot of very tough Irish families. Once the docks closed, before it was regenerated, it was a real ghost town area. You would still smell then the cinnamon because they used to do spices into London docks. You'd smell the smell of the spice lingered for years. Unfortunately, the Thames being a tidal river and a twisty, turny kind of river, that it wasn't economical to bring big ships up into the docks anymore.
I'm considered a bit of a pest and a nuisance on both Facebook and Twitter, and my website is www.normangillerbooks.com. If you want to pop in and say hello, I'd appreciate it.
Always got new records coming out. I've got a new album coming out with my old friend Bill Laswell, The Invaders of the Heart. We've got a Brexit single coming out called A Very British Coup. That's with Mark Stewart and Keith Levine. So I've always got records happening, festivals, shows. Joe Wobble and The Invaders of the Heart, we do a good show.